if JDG opt into it. Or if it's game 5, I wonder if both teams are not more scared, but more willing to go towards comfort, deny, you know, Ruler his place on the Xayah, and now JDG not wanting to give up the lovers duo.
I like the opt-in to the Rakan. I think it can give Missing so much power on this roster because it gives you a lot of mobility, but also the peel and the engage that you really need a bit of flexibility for JDG in. I do really appreciate the Sejuani being locked in. It didn't make it through for LNG this time around, so then they definitely would have prioritized. But this also means that because JDG wanted that for Kanavi, they're going to be able to re-grab this Tristana you were highlighting so much of.
I mean, right, it's mind-blowing with the amount of S-tier mid lane bans that this gets through. But I understand. I'm curious to see where JDG goes, especially with their mid lane. Or I wonder if they match mid here, or if they have something cooked up, do you just go Cassante, ban out Gwen and Jax on 3-4, and then have, you know, that kind of unstoppable monster in team fights 4-3-6-9? I think all of that depends on how, like, what Knight's cooking up in terms of a mid lane counter pick to this Tristana.
I'm really looking at what they're cooking here. I want to see something. Oh, the Sivir!
I
It's locked in for a Ruler.
I'm scared. I gotta be honest with you. So after seeing the Nico last game, after seeing the amount of times we've had Sivir come out and not work, it feels like any time we get these really fringe picks that they haven't really been able to hold up to what is strong in the meta. So Ruler gonna bring out the Sivir. It's gonna enable their team fighting so much more, having the speed up from the ultimate and having things like the ricochets just going through everyone in the team fight. But you're giving up a lot of potential early game strength to the side of LNG. And it looks like they are going to go those top lane bans. It would allow them to pick Cassante on 4 if LNG don't ban it out.
I always like the Jax ban towards Zika. I think it's a pick that he can play so well, but also just have so much pressure in the side lane for. I do want to see... Okay, the Silas is the ban away towards Knight, so not going to give maybe some of those good ultis stealing away like if LNG have a plan further down the road. It is the Gwen, though, locked away by JDG.
Yep, again, just the perfect bans, not only for Zika, but just if you want to go Cassante. I think the only way that they wouldn't is if they do plan on going some type of like assassin-y mid, because we know Yone's playable. We saw OMG play it. I know teams across the globe that have Yone players that picked it up. And it's like you have the Sejuani, so that pairing is always there. It seems like they're acknowledging the fact that Sejuani can go into the top lane. Hell, it even could go into the mid lane, right? Like, yeah. I wouldn't like that or expect it when you have Knight on your team that you throw that one in the mid lane. But we are going to end up in a point we were hitting on earlier, Mazel, that just like BLG, when you get pushed to the brink, you bring out comfort. And Knight going to bring out that Ahri.
He was 8-0 in that graphic that we had. I talked about at the beginning, we were talking, oh, it's fallen out of meta. But exactly as you said, when the time is right, you bring out what you know, and it's something that Knight knows very, very well. I love to see this comp come together, and as well as a lot of that mobility from the mid-jungle duo. It is the Poppy locked in on the other side for Tarzan. We know how scary that can be. We highlighted earlier.
Yeah, now it's about where you go with top lane. I'm going to keep highlighting the fact that Cassante is just there and, you know, absolutely ridiculous. But they're kind of building some peel around their carries right now with the fact that they've locked that in. And oh, this has been ignored all series long. I assumed Zika couldn't play it. I assumed JDG hadn't practiced it. But once again, saving some of these important picks for the big moments. LNG have done exactly what we said. Draft something stock and standard that is strong in the meta. JDG have kind of gone the opposite way of not really going towards comfort necessarily. Like, sure, you have the Ahri, but bringing out curveballs like the Sivir, going like putting Kanavi onto the Sejuani, which actually wasn't a champion that he really leaned on in summer. Did win both of his games, so not a champion he's really leaned on too much throughout his career. So I think this one's going to be interesting. But when you're in a game 5, I kind of trust what LNG have put together more than JDG. But you definitely have some power in some skirmishes, right? Renekton and the Ahri, late game in team fights, Sivir with the Sejuani can run you down, but maybe you're just running into the pure death of an equalizer and tons of feathers set out by Gala.
I've talked to some pro players in NA as well, and they say, you know, it's really hard. One of the best teams in the LPL that has woken up into this series, and LNG has made them sweat every step of the way. Game 5 is nigh, and let those Gios roar! And as we get into it now, LNG have been nothing but incredible since their last series. They've gone to 2 5-game series in a row. The last one I thought was backbreaking, but they took that momentum into this series. They took a very dominant Game 1 victory, Lyric, and now we've seen the culmination of their efforts in that bounce back last game. Honestly,
it gives me like hints of their miracle run, right? When they started so early on in playoffs and had to play so many games. Because LNG, okay, not to jinx them, but if they lose here, then let's say like win, maybe lose, then play regionals, and then like, my God, they can end up stacking so many games with the fact that they've already now gone the distance in 2 best-of-5s. So definitely getting a lot of practice, which is quite nice. Maybe why they've stayed so consistent is Scout. One of the people we highlighted trying to find some aggressive trades early on, but Knight matching punch for punch.
He's on the other end of the matchup this time, Tristana. I like to see Scout playing aggressive, though. That's something we saw Knight actually doing completely well on the Tristana, just making sure to press as much as possible. But speaking of Knight, he is on his comfort of the Ahri. We saw at the beginning of the day, right, the 8-0 scoreline with this pick. It feels good to rely on comfort in the last moment in a matchup that is so important.
Yeah, that's going to come down to his charms in the mid game around team fights. You know, when you have double AD carry. And, ooh, we're going to see if Tarzan is able to find anything.
This is why Tarzan is so good on Poppy. I love those early advantages. He's going around the corner. Gala and Hung have actually baited JDG. Ruler going to be in some trouble now, but they actually turn back on to Missing. He has been the bait here, and he should just be taken down. Tarzan going to flash, gets the slowdown here, and first blood going slowly but surely, not to LNG, and missing out on that one. Will end up getting hooked by Hung. Is he going to give the kill to Scout here? One more auto. He flashes for it just to make sure. And LNG with the angry cat have shown up in K5.
Not worried about the loss of the flash, just wanting to make sure they are funneling gold onto this Tristana, onto this guy who's performing. Now we're back at the top side, which is good. I actually want to talk about this matchup a little bit because we see Zika in the Ignite, so wanting to go aggressive. And it's so important how you're using those Electro Harpoons, especially if you're playing around the slice and dice of the Renekton. You have so much agency up in that matchup, but we're going to go back to the replay down in bot here. And it was just the ultimate bait coming out from LNG, right? Hung taking a bunch of damage, but Tarzan making his way down the whole time. I like that he doesn't get baited in chasing Ruler, and they realize, hey, Ruler would be able to escape. He's already popped his ghost. He could run away. Let's just go for Missing. Luckily, with Scout on the Poppy, he has Pry on the mid lane. He could start making it down. And it really just feels like the biggest thing here is a lot of flashes having to be burnt in this play by LNG might come back to bite them if JDG are a bit more proactive, but at least they're getting their gold exactly where they want it.
But Tarzan can continue to be proactive. He's had a pretty heavy push from Zika on the top side against 369 too, and having a kill on Scout's actually huge because then he can just be easy in mid lane. Top lane gank is not going to go there. They get the flash out of 369 though, and that'll be revisited.
And Mazel, I know you remember it because me and you would talk about it so much, but this is the Tarzan Poppy. When me and you were casting, when Poppy first came into the meta, like in your face, super aggressive, creating everything for the side of LNG. Now JDG trying to get a team play going, but it's already too late. Top lane Scuttle picked up. Maybe Kanavi looks for the invade. He does have a level advantage, but yeah, it'd be too easy for members of LNG to join up when they know Zika's coming from base, when they know Scout is such an easy entry point from mid. And so far, LNG just off to such a great start. It really is so impressive with the hype that JDG had. It seemed like people were just convinced they were going to win the split. And honestly, like it was hard not to think that way, right? It just seemed like an inevitability with how much winning they've done this year.
It's a hard one, the Golden Road. It's never an easy one, and that's why
it's paved in blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, you can go down the whole kit and caboodle there. But I know JDG are feeling the pressure as well, right? We've heard them talk about the expectations set on them throughout this entire split. That aggression that we were talking about for Tarzan, it does not just go one way, though. Kanavi on a very skirmish-heavy jungler on the Sejuani. We've actually seen Tarzan do really well with this one, but combining with Renekton gets so scary.
Exactly, right? A lot of strength in this, and especially level 6, because Rumble's an immobile champion, right? You can consistently look for lane ganks with that Glacial Prison and just set up for the Renekton to repeatedly get kills. I think this would have been a gank that 369 would have enjoyed earlier on, and then set the Rumble behind, because if Rumble doesn't have flash, it really is so awkward to play in his top lane.
They're going in anyways. They have the lockdown, but the flash from Zika
there it is
as well going out.
But they get the flash, right? Now it becomes awkward for the Rumble. Now they're forcing him off turret, denying him golden XP. Hell, 369 getting 6 first has the Dominus. So they're making him walk the long way back and get a slow recall off. It will be answered. As we can see, LNG on the minimap, Tarzan was picking up the Dragon. But still, this is the type of advantages you want to see JDG creating.
No TP back from Zika either, so up that long walk like you were talking about. Scout getting charmed at the back end of that one. A bit worse for Ware in the mid lane. And we have like double proxy farming coming through here, coming from JDG.
Man, if Kanavi was level 6, he would have been done there too, right?
Oh,
jump over the wall, Glacial Prison, Scout would just be gone for. He is a fortunate man.
Kanavi not yet level 6, but active has been JDG on the back end of LNG's early proactivity through Tarzan. Want to see that coming through here, as I'm sure down towards bottom side we'll get a lot more focus as we come through. And that's where I want to talk a little bit more about the way these two compositions have come alive. We've seen a lot of opting into double marksman compositions in this best of 5 so far. The fact that LNG are going for it, Scout on the Tristana, Gala on the Xayah, it'll be important to play through. But speaking of playing through, Tarzan actually getting a little bit of gameplay action going here with the combination of the priority for mid lane. Scout is there, and Kanavi gets responded to.
And just once again taking advantage of like small mistakes to where Knight on a reset timing, Rumble's not showing in lane, and he was the one stacking up a wave and having pressure, and they're just very easily able to collapse on Kanavi. So they're keeping it up, and the Tristana is the one getting funneled this gold. Is down in CS in mid lane, so Knight, potentially going to be almost as strong. As you can see, only a 400 gold lead for LNG, but still. Scout happy to pick up these kills.
I thought you were just going to stop at Scout happy. I'm here for that. Easy emotions. As getting Tristana early blood is so good. 2 kills already for the MVP of our summer regular season. And now we get to see Tarzan playing with Kanavi here. And just the early movement from LNG.
I mean, it's not just look at the map state, right? Like, Knight is in base. Zika was the one who actually was on the wave and had control over it. Just very easy. I think Kanavi assuming I'm on the Sejuani, I'm fine. Like, I can get away. I have some mobility to jump over the wall, but ends up biting him at the end. Does have 6 online now. We already talked about some of the potential lane ganks that he can go for with the Glacial Prison, and you could see him angling around topside now. So it seems like they want to try and find LNG on their way up.
This is the combo you were talking about. Flame Spitter does go in. Kanavi revealing his face, but trying to lock down Zika here. You still have the Glacial Prison, 369 on his way, but the connection is available from LNG.
It's really nice diligence. So
that's the charm connecting on Tarzan. Means that Knight makes it out alive.
Knight does survive, but nice diligence by Zika up in that top lane to walk and brush with Flame Spitter, right? Knows it's not an area he has any information of. But now JDG going to go for this one. If you look at the bottom side of the mini-map, we already have Missing making his way over. So this is probably an objective that it looks like, yep, LNG just going to realize they can't look for the contest, and JDG finally going to find something. They haven't really fallen that far behind in gold because of the CS lead that we're talking about. We were talking about earlier in the mid lane. Now maybe going to be able to try to find a gold advantage.
This Knight answer into the Tristana is actually so huge. 30 CS is a lot to play around, actually. Tarzan making his way up here, trying to play around Kanavi, realizing there was something going out. Kanavi immediately throws up the red flag and runs away.
The second you see the Rumble back off from the wave, you know something's up. You know something's up. You don't see anyone in bot lane, so I think it's fair to assume, hey, either Hung is around here or Hung is around mid. And if Hung is around mid, he could be close to top. So, things like that. You obviously don't know where Tarzan is. He could always be there. So, goodbye Kanavi to back off in the end. But this opens up this small window for Hung to get such deep vision in topside. So now they're going to know Kanavi in his bot side jungle.
Gotta be careful. Missing doesn't have quickness, but the Featherstorm will be used.
Nice job trying to take advantage of that one. Is just going to be an ult for ult at the end of the day. I wonder if they try to bring Kanavi down here at this point and use the Glacial Prison, but it looks like no. With the reset going off, there might still be a small timing by the time Missing gets back to lane, but then you're allowing and you're expecting Hung to be back by then with how long he's been missing.
I think Hung has had actually a pretty good series so far. I know you're wanting him to get MVP the last time around.
Supports just get absolutely stolen all the time.
But his Nautilus has been pretty clutch here. 369 going against Zika. Just that easy trades in the top side. That Dominus did get popped though. And there's the equalizer.
Yeah, but not wanting to risk any potential problems in this lane after dominance was popped and now being at the health advantage. So does utilize that one. We need to point out again that he took the ignite instead of the teleport. Luckily, you do have the scrap shield, so you get, you know, a bit of movement speed there, and you could get back to lane a little bit faster. But in timings like this, where if 369 can force him out of lane, that could be where you really start denying this
I like this, though. Look at this. The roam from Scout. It will be spotted out, so he'll actually pull off. But just seeing that preemptive move from LNG and the cohesion between the solo laners is oh so important. That does mean, though, JDG get first answer into the Dragon, and it should be that 1-for-1 trade.
And JDG, despite the 2 kills, right, the CS lead being enough to where Knight's already picked up his Everfrost. So a lot more threat in this mid lane if Scout oversteps. Everfrost into Charm. Gonna do quite a bit of damage once he gets that full combo off.
I thought Tarzan might go for it. He does have the Hex Flash, so he could have you know, gotten the flash out there and tried to steal that one away. Not important enough with the second dragon, but an Ocean Soul on the map might increase the importance of those dragons.
It's kind of funny, right? Because we are building up the story of LNG doing great in the first few minutes, which they were, but JDG actually the ones coming out with their items first, actually being the ones to start getting online, keep gold even the whole time. They even still have the Herald. But whenever Kanavi decides to drop that one, I wonder if he's going to try and drop it around top with how much attention he's been putting up there.
We'll end up seeing Zika down here as the control ward should be cleared out. But yeah, needs to be getting that one off here pretty soon. Tarzan looking mid lane, though, trying to get the wall bang. He gets it as well. Kanavi trying to save his mid laner, but he can't do it. It's Scout gets his 3rd kill of the game. Step up, King.
Just great job from Tarzan. I mean, gets the knockback, sets up for Scout to get the kill. And Zika, oh no.
He's not going to fall for that one.
I love the amount of respect he's been shown this game, right? Flame Spitter in the Bristol walking away around, but no.
No.
It's been ruined,
Caster cursed him. He immediately flashes. Luckily, Tarzan is right there around the corner to help dissuade some of that fear.
You can't expect Kanavi to be here at all times. Maybe he should think back to the game where Kanavi did just sit bot for literally all game, the one game JDG stopped.
That's a lot of plates over here, though. Oh, Dredgeline going wide, too. 369's taking this fight. This is a 2v3 that JDG are opting into. The dominance, they're on top of the equalizer. Here comes Missing over the top rope. And JDG, they give him the TKO. That's a huge moment of JDG step up and the charm on the back end. All of that lead that LNG had is dust in their fingers.
Once again, the mid-jungle from LNG early on has been gorgeous, but JDG step up when it matters. Not only do they win on the top side, Ruler having a free time in the mid lane. Sure, Gala doing the same thing here, but it just isn't equal. I can't believe we're going this far back because this play in comparison to that top side looks like nothing. It is still a great play. Glacial Prison doesn't connect. You get Scout another kill, but bring us up to the top side. I thought they were doomed, all being on top of the equalizer. Was looking rough. Sure, health bars were a little bit low, but look, Flame Spitter in your face, equalizer going to be dropped. And 369 having to run away from turret, walks back into it, almost gets burnt down, but it's Missing who comes in clutch with the quickness. They were taken low by the amount of damage that 369 was putting out, and then that charm right there connects on Scout. They get another one.
Here's a reason why we talk so highly of these mid laners. Scout before that one, he was 3-0. That's what I was talking about. They had so much strength through this Tristana, but Knight is able to deliver the killing blow against his counterpart, and it's been a back and forth there. Tarzan and Scout looking bot lane now onto Knight in the side lane, but Missing should be able to follow up if anything comes of it.
Mazel, it's not even a back and forth anymore. Now Knight is a CS lead and kills. Like he just has what Scout has and more. He has the PlayStation 1 and the new PlayStation 2. You know, back in whatever 2001 or 2, whenever that came out, he was the coolest kid around.
He's still pretty darn cool. All right, the golden left hand of JDG now, especially a time of step up, right? I don't feel like we've had the craziest of night series, but if you step up in a game 5 where all other games in the series don't matter, that is what matters. And he has been undefeated on this Ahri. He has been an incredible force, and LNG need to back away from the force that JDG are representing on the bot side.
Yeah, they are, looks like nothing should be able to come out from this one. 369, I was going to point out, is actually soloing Rift Herald. So that is going to be another objective over to JDG. Also, if you're wondering why I used PS1 and 2 as reference, it's because they're the best consoles. But we have a 1v1 between top laners. I don't think 369 should be able to go down. It'll be a gentleman's agreement at the end of the day.
I don't know if it's a gentleman's agreement. He kind of was trying to use a flamethrower to burn a crocodile.
That's what gentlemen do.
Is that what gentlemen do? I don't know about that one. LNG, though, they will take that handshake, potentially taking this Rift Herald. Actually, JDG, they want to actually fight this one. So maybe not a handshake,
Nice
maybe a couple
so
punches.
far.
The reset comes through.
So they did a good job of dissuading it from happening. Had a fight actually broken out there, it would have been really awkward. You don't have your big Ahri around, who is an item and a half
Just take
up.
the mid lane turret.
And it's great to see, right? Because we saw Gala highlighting that JDG's best point is their macro, but in our last game, I don't know if you remember the sequence where like LNG took like Dragon, Herald, and like 2 towers all in one fell swoop while JDG were just mucking around the map. It's good to see JDG with some other decision making bouncing back, and now a 5k gold lead. Tarzan was doing everything early. How has this happened?
He was doing so much, right? And we had lauded his Poppy performance in history, but now in this game, he had been everywhere. That is how Scout was able to find a lot of that early advantage. But now the team coming to bear, and JDG are stacking yet again another Dragon.
Yeah, so Dragon for JDG, LNG are going to get the Herald, which is good because they do need an injection of gold being this far down. But we've hit on Knight's CS lead a few times. But now 369 has an impressive CS lead. I believe Kanavi's a few camps up as well. It only leaves Gala being the one who's been picking up, I think, slightly more farm than Ruler. But it feels like that's a bit of a muted point at this stage with where we're at with items. Second item finished for Knight.
And you got the Horizon focus as well.
Yeah.
That Rift Herald instantly popped on the top side. We will actually see Zika caught a little bit inside. I don't think you can go down here. You're just going to lose the turret as well. It will be responded on the other side potentially as Scout's moving forward. He's playing so aggressive on this Tristana, and they're going to find missing here. Buster shot's not enough. Oh my god. That might be the turnaround that JDG needed. Ruler makes his name known. He went from nothing to something, and 2-0, and you get the third there. LNG, only Gala is left, and he's just asking where his team is.
His hands are just in the air. LNG, everyone collapsing around him, losing out on both sides of the map. They don't, like, there was no strong side. JDG committing more members down towards bot. And I mean, top was supposed to be LNG's strong side. They had numbers advantage at first, but they spent so long trying to find that initial engage, it gave enough time for members like Ruler to make their way over. And my god, this one looking a lot like Game 3. When JDG get on red side, JDG know how to play. Just with that blue side, haunting them a little bit. But here, I mean, what can you do, right? Glacial Prison comes out, you then have the following stun that Sejuani provides. You have the W coming out from 369, but it's this that was so good. We have the Charm coming out on Hung, which means that you can't have the hook to follow up initially right when Missing gets CC'd. He's able to escape that flash, and then Ruler here with his own flash in. A bit of time delayed, but with Knight connecting that last Charm onto Scout, you know it's going to mean JDG picking up the fight. So it's so sad when this series has been so back and forth. It's so sad when LNG felt like the better team in 3 of the 5 games. But JDG finding the wins where it matters.
This can't be how it ends, Lyric. This cannot be the end of the series. We have to see LNG put some effort into it, get some shine in it, and find those combos. Again, the double mark speed composition does come online. You do have some strength in that factor, but when JDG are ahead, they stranglehold you, and I mentioned the TKO earlier. They do that really easy.
This doesn't feel as bad as the Game 2 throw in my mind, but it's up there. It's like, you definitely, like, you know LNG is more in the tank. You know LNG has already shown better in the series, and it would be a sad way to go. But like you're saying, they aren't down, they aren't out just yet. 6k gold should honestly be something that's incredibly hard to overcome. But like you're saying, they scale very well. They have the Poppy that's going to be able to peel for these double marksmen. But JDG have such a good comp at pushing their lead forward. Not only having the R to find the picks, his Ruler might be getting pinched.
He doesn't have flash. He doesn't have anything. Kanavi's going to end up flashing away, though. JDG turn their heads. Equalizer comes out as a defensive measure, but it's missing, going with the quickness. Look at Knight over the edge. That hits onto Scout. It's going forward with the Spirit Rushes, but they're in some trouble. This is such a split fight. 369, he found Gala, and then it's Kanavi who cleans up Scout. Your double marksmen are nothing.
That's Baron.
And the Baron to JDG.
They were trying to pinch JDG. JDG ended up pinching them. They come out on top, and now, I mean, JDG, again, it's not over, but it feels like it, man. Another fight win, now a Baron in the card. Zika can't even come and like try to steal with an equalizer. That one already used. And it's going to be here where Tarzan running forward. You can see them being fine because look at the other members of LNG coming around. But JDG do a great thing of turning right onto Tarzan, realizing they don't need to worry about the flank. And then the fight just gets so separated. Knight doing so much to force Scout away. And then 369 cutting off the retreat path by making his way around and finding that kill. So
I will just say
JDG.
There's something really telling that's starting to come to light here for LNG, and it's just the fact they kind of lose themselves in these fights. That's yet another moment where frontline goes down or frontline overextends, and then literally JDG just come and cut them in half. And it's been like that a lot in this series in these faltering moments for LNG, and JDG will take full advantage of that. That's the reason they're this #2 seed, and they're not there lightly. They have destroyed opponents in the LPL.
And you can see LNG realizing that they can't fight them. That's why they committed 2 members up towards top side to maybe find a potential pick if anyone went to answer the Tristana. 369 is going to get his 1v1 with Scout. Scout has a buster shot.
He's going a little bit deep here now as well, though. 369 not able to get the distance closed there, but they're losing their inhib. And I'm not saying Fate has already decided this one, but we go back to the conversation. LNG have not found success against JDG, and it might look like much of the same here. Scout trying to get away.
I really want to stay on that 1v1. Looks like gonna get away. Equalizer!
I don't think you can do anything now. LNG, that gas, it's been turned into fire. And JDG, they've been looking ahead. They've been looking at the horizon all along. This team, the MSI champions, they have BLG in their eyes, in their crosshairs, and they want that date with Destiny.
That fight exploded out of nowhere. I didn't expect the engage to come out from Kanavi missing. I didn't expect the equalizer, which was so beautiful. They just have absolutely no damage on the side of LNG to be able to contend. But yeah, I mean, if that fight wasn't showing where we're at, which is almost a 10K gold lead, there's nothing here. But LNG making their way forward. It's the charm that actually sets things off. But there we go, the Sejuani follow-up along with the quickness. Great equalizer, just no real damage to take people down. And then we see JDG just able to keep running forward after TPing 369 in. They aren't going to be able to find any more than the initial kill.
I was about to say, is Tarzan going to die yet again? But they are just holistically focusing on Tarzan every time. He doesn't have the health bar to keep up with it. And as soon as he's gone, you lose a lot of the direction in these fights as well. 369 popping that dominus, going over to Scout, who just used the rocket jump. I need to be a little bit careful down here. There's an angry croc.
I want to point out the item disparities. We get this dance again. Well, I love that you point out jungle because it's an item and a half to almost 3 items for Kanavi.
Yep.
Like, really is. Man is living the budget lifestyle. You know, he's buying the packaged ramen noodles every week and not enjoying it. We've all done it. None of us liked it.
He was living lavish early. He was finding advantages, but
he was the breadwinner.
Couldn't make it stick. He was the breadwinner. The equalizer used to clear the wave. Kanavi on the side getting poked down pretty heavily. And Super Minion already doing work, and 369 was carving away the entire time. Another wave will crash. Dragon is up, but JDG want to find another inhib potentially.
Yeah, they want to keep going. They know they are strong now. They can try and force in no Glacial Prison and no On the Hunt. I think it makes it a little bit harder. Kind of makes it so Missing or 369 have to go for some type of, like, you know, slice and dice or dash in play, lock them down, and open up for Ruler and Knight to go in.
Won't see anything connect here. Dredgeline actually in the end gets onto Kanavi, the depth charge as well, connecting on a 9-369, but you can see LNG just don't have the fight in them. You actually get, oh, the flash from Kanavi. He'll take out a lot of the engage and a lot of the tooth that comes with LNG. LNG are just trying to force something. Gala wants to step up. They are so split. Scout's going in on the other side. You got to have chameleon eyes right now to see what's going on for LNG. It's the inhib, though, the focus right now. 369 buster shotted, and that should be the resets coming through for Scout. Does he want to keep going? He wants to get Missing, but no, it's Knight and the rest of JDG that decimate LNG, and they've had their eyes on BLG this entire time. There is nothing left for LNG. LNG, and it's JDG that have a date with their little brothers in the semifinals, and they come out clutch in a Game 5.
JDG stepping up when it matters. Seriously, though, I got to give all the kudos to LNG because, again, for most of the games, they look so good. It was just some of the clutch moments. I mean, that game, too, was really going to haunt them. But JDG being able to deliver in moments like that, capitalize on the mistakes, and then have some really dominant games, right? That Game 3 victory was an absolute stomp. This game,